Well, if you've been watching social media, you see a lot of incidences where there's physical confrontations on the cruise ship, and we never expected to see this, but we actually experienced this on our most recent cruise. It was on the Odyssey of the Seas in the Caribbean and in the theater. And again, we were quite surprised by it. It was only afterwards that we stopped and thought, holy cow, that just happened. But welcome to Traveling with Chris and Wendy, and we're going to go through this incident and just tell you what we know. Nobody got hurt, but it was definitely uncomfortable and a little bit awkward. But I have to say everything turned out not too terribly. First off, what happened was we were in the theater and there were two shows. And I'm going to go through a timeline here. There were two shows by the same artists. They were the Las Vegas Tenors. And by the way, absolutely fantastic show. And that was, I won't say part of the problem, that's part of what was the precipitating factor, is that people liked the show so much that, and the first show was pretty close to full capacity, and it was going to be obvious that the second show was going to be at capacity because a lot of people wanted to come back and see it, and there was a whole crowd of others that hadn't come in yet. So in between shows, as you know, they clear out the theater, but what happened was the show started at 7 o'clock, and normally there are 45-minute shows in this case, and I'm weird about time, so you just have to forgive me. I don't know if it's OCD or some kind of weird mental glitch that I have, but I look at my watch regularly and I remember times, I remember numbers. And the show went past 7:45, it happened to go to 7:58 because I start going, this show's a little over. And we were sitting right in the front of the theater. My wife, who does these wonderful videos, is going to pull this picture up, and you're going to see that there's circled 6 seats in the front of the theater. The picture that you see is not of that show. It just happened to be another time we're in the theater and took a picture so we could show a good angle of where these seats were. But we happened to be in the front of the theater, and if you start at the front of the front left from facing the stage, there are seats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and it goes all the way 14 across, but I'm gonna refer to seats 1 through 6. My wife and I were sitting in seats 5 and 6 in the front row. We like to get there early. We sit there, we look at our phones for a few minutes, and then it starts. We thought that'd be difficult the second time because we knew it was going to be popular, and they only let you in when they want to, and I don't like standing outside of theaters too awfully long, so I didn't know what would happen. But the show number 1 ended at 7:58, and we tend to sit there for about 5 minutes, and we just lean up against the stage and watch people exit, and it's just a chance to just kind of let your brain decompress. And I don't like standing in the line. I get impatient waiting behind people, so I just wait for them to clear out. So we got out of the theater at about 8:03. We like to get steps on the ship, so we just kind of walked around. I believe it's on deck 4. We just walked around deck 4 for a while, up to deck 5, back down. Not that those details matter, but that's just what I remember. And somewhere around 8:16, 8:17, we came back to the theater. There was already a line forming, and we thought we could loop around, but we thought, we still want to get good seats, so we kind of waited. We were towards the front of the line, not at the front, but towards the front of the line, waiting to get into the theater. At right around 8:26, 8:27, they opened the doors, usually around 30 minutes in advance, and so that was about 30 minutes in advance of the 9 o'clock show. We tend to walk in, a lot of people kind of gum up around there, so we tend to walk around the side. And I noticed a lady who had been at the front of the waiting line walked straight down towards the front and ended up sitting in seat 1, which would be the front of the theater, far left facing. If you're on the stage looking out, it'd be on the right. Now, I had a sense that this was going to be an issue because I could see 2 people standing there talking to what looked like a Royal Caribbean employee, just chatting away. But they were about 4 or 5 feet away from the seats. Were you going to say something?
No, they were sitting there talking.
Yeah, well, they were standing there talking. And the lady walked right up behind them and sat in seat 1. And they were standing in front of seat 1, about 4 or 5 feet away. They immediately turned around, and I could see they were going to be upset. And I was like, I'm not getting involved in this. We just walked over to seats 5 and 6, which happened to be exactly where we were before. So we sat down, and then immediately they started interacting with this lady very aggressively. It was a couple, probably, we're in our 50s. This couple was, I had to guess, probably in their 60s. I'm not really sure. And this gentleman just kept saying, that's my seat, that's my seat. And she was saying, I'm not going to move. At that point, I had no idea that we in seats 5 and 6 were in there saved seats also. We didn't know. There was nobody sitting in the seats, no items in the seats whatsoever. I thought they just were going to sit in seats 1 and 2. I didn't know. So we're watching this verbal confrontation unfold, and I didn't hear it said, but at some point it became evident that we were sitting in seats 5 and 6, because again, they wanted to save seats 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 without anything in the seats, without anybody sitting in the seats, and not having left the theater like they're supposed to. They were going to try to save seats 1 through 6. And what did you hear them say? Did they say something specific? You heard it, I didn't.
Yeah, they just said that those seats were saved, they were saving them, and that we should all get up.
Yeah, and I didn't know that she was telling us to get up. I thought she kept saying, I've been here for an hour. And I'm weird about numbers. And I was like, at this point, it was about 8:28, 8:29. And I'm like, an hour ago, the show was going on, and literally we were in these seats. A half an hour, the show was just ending, and we were literally in these seats. 25 minutes before, the show was over and people were emptying, and there was nobody sitting in those seats because we were sitting there waiting for it. And then at that point, they say that announcement that says, we're prepping for the next show, and could everyone please exit the theater? And at that point, we're exiting. So no one was supposed to be in that theater whatsoever. So again, not only was she wrong, she was breaking the rules. But I didn't really care. She said I was a very rude man. I said, I don't really care what you think of me. And we didn't really get into it. I just was like, I'm sitting here. And she didn't even ask us to move. Did she ask you to move at all?
Yeah, they wanted us to move.
Oh, I didn't catch that whatsoever. I didn't hear them, yes. Because I was talking to the gentleman next to me who was sitting there by that time, who was just saying, wow, this is crazy. Then at some point we look over and there's a lady in seat 1. She was the one who came straight down and sat down. The gentleman who was part of the couple that was trying to save seats 1 through 6 said, you're going to, and use some explicatives to try to get her out of the seat, grabbed her by the arm and yanked her, and literally yanked her. Probably, her bottom was probably 2 or 3 feet off the seat. If he'd have kept yanking, she would have fallen over. It wasn't just that he jerked her forward. He literally pulled her partway out of the seat and let her go. And at that point, the wife was like, hey, you probably shouldn't do that. And we're all going, holy cow, did that just happen? And what happened subsequently after that is somebody saw this. They spoke to one of the servers. The server then called security. Security came down and spoke to the gentleman who had done the physical confrontation, if you want to call it an assault. And what I always find odd is at that point, they were talking right there, and the gentleman who was in trouble, I'll call it, was doing the whole, let's talk over here, and kind of did an alpha move like, I'm in charge here. And I thought, rolled my eyes and I was like, geez, dude, it never stops with you. Because he really was quite rude. They walk away and they talk. At some point they're talking for a while, so the wife goes over there, and I don't know if she just wanted to kind of like throw in her 2 cents. Then the couple that was saving the seats came and sat back down, and they asked the lady who'd been essentially assaulted to go over there and speak. And they were speaking for a while. When they came back, the lady who was assaulted remained in seat 1. The wife of the couple sat in seat 2. The husband, a friend of the couple's, was in seat 3. The husband was going to be in seat 4, and Wendy and I were in seat 5 and 6. The husband sat there for probably a minute and then got up and left. Nothing triggered him leaving other than whatever he decided to do. Spoilers, he never came back. I don't think security did anything with him. He just got up, and I have a feeling he sensed he needed to just not be in that situation. It was an unfortunate situation. Not only was the lady assaulted, but she really didn't appear to enjoy the show. It was a great show, and if you ever get a chance to see them or look them up online, do so. It's the Las Vegas Tenors. They're an absolutely fantastic act. And my wife, at one point, because people are standing up, they're having you do stuff, and it was just a really enjoyable, active show, and she's like, that poor lady's over there basically crying. And we kind of felt bad about it. The husband never came back. As a matter of fact, the performers don't like empty seats in the front, so they said, hey, if people want to come down here, and that lady still kept saying, no, that's my husband's seat right there, and it was empty the entire show. So that was just kind of unfortunate, but whatever, that's how she handled it. So anyway, moving forward, we were talking later on. She goes, gosh, I really feel bad for that lady. And we happened to see her the next day. And we thought about just leaving her alone, but I was like, let me see what she thinks. So we went up and said, hey, we saw what happened yesterday. You know, what happened? And so she just gave her point of view, which is exactly what we saw. There wasn't much beyond that, but we said, do you know if anything's going to happen? And she said, I'm not really too concerned with it. They're going to talk to him. They have it on film. And he was trying to imply that it probably wasn't that bad, but she said, it's on film. They have recorded me, they recorded him, and, you know, verbally, and also it's on camera. And that seemed like it would be it. We happened to see her a couple of days later and we said, any more updates? And she said, oh yeah, we don't know for certain, but the word is that he's been confined to cabin because there is somebody posted outside of his room. So, and these were Pinnacle guests, by the way, so, you know, take that for whatever it's worth. But it looks like they had him confined to his room. So she felt better about that. She really didn't have any vindictive nature about it. She wasn't like, oh, I hope he gets arrested. We don't know if that ever happened. We don't know if he's going to be banned from future cruises. But it does appear like he was confined to his room. She just said, I just don't want to run into him anymore. Because she said it was very uncomfortable. And it was. He was, I mean, him and his wife were extremely rude. And so I think she just felt better that she wasn't going to have to worry about running him into him anymore. Because she was part of the... I think she could go into the lounges with him, and she's like, it's extremely uncomfortable to go in there and see that. So that being said, we are stunned that we have seen it. And now, you know, every time you hear about these things on a ship, you go, oh, that's the kind of stuff that can actually happen. Interestingly enough, if you want to throw some stuff in the comments, I'd love to hear what you have to say about it. I'd also like to hear what people have to say about saving seats, because I'll tell you what, it's worth doing one of these videos on saving seats. In the theater, it doesn't seem to be that big of a deal, although that's where this happened, because mostly just kind of people save the seats they're in and maybe a couple more for others. I've just never seen anybody try to save 6 front row seats and they weren't even in the seats with nothing. The big issue is up on the pool deck where people get up at 6 o'clock in the morning and just put all their stuff there and just flat out leave it there. So love to hear in your comments if you have thoughts about that. You know, should people be saving seats? I understand why they do want to save seats. I also understand why in some ways it'd be better if they didn't. But anyway, so hopefully if you're ever on a cruise ship, this doesn't happen to you. It was uncomfortable. They were very rude to us. As a matter of fact, the gentleman sat down for a little bit, and what did he say to you?
He asked me if I was just going to sit there and play on my phone. And I said, your name's not on this seat, so yes, I am.
Without using inappropriate language, what exactly did he say to you?
Are you just going to blank sit there and play on your phone?
And play on your phone. Because we just, you know, piddle away time, and I didn't hear him say that. And I'm kind of glad. I don't think I would have done anything rash, but I certainly would have been upset. Anyway, throw in some comments about anything you've ever seen or what you think about this particular incident. Anyway, thank you. And hopefully in the future, you'll keep watching the videos and like and subscribe if you get a chance to. And take care.